In 2012, a house fire in Derby, England took the lives of 6 children. But this was no tragic accident. It was a cold, calculated plot that spiraled completely out of control. Today, we're going to look at the man at the center of it all and ask a really tough question. Could this have all been stopped decades before it even happened?
And that quote, it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. Because for the father, Mick Philpott, his 17 children weren't really seen as family. They were a source of income, government benefits he used to build a life of control and pure manipulation.
So to really get what happened with the fire, you have to go back, way back. You have to understand the man who lit the match, because Mick Philpott's history of extreme violence started long before 2012.
Right from the get-go, Philpott's relationships were all about abuse. With his teenage girlfriend Kim, his violence was just shockingly brazen. I mean, we're talking about him hitting her across the mouth with a pool cue in a packed pub. Another time, he used a hammer to break her arm and fracture her kneecap. He even shot her with a crossbow because he thought her dress was too short.
So after 2 years of this living hell, Kim finally found the courage to leave him. And that's when Philpott's violence went completely off the rails. He broke into her house, attacked her while she was asleep, and told her, "If I can't have you, no one else will." When the paramedics showed up, they found him on the stairs, holding the bloody knife, and he just chillingly told them, "I wouldn't bother, she's a goner."
Now, it's almost unbelievable, but both Kim and her mother actually survived. And this was the moment. The justice system had him. This was the chance, right? The chance to stop a truly violent man in his tracks.
Okay, so look at this timeline, because this part is absolutely key. He was found guilty of trying to murder 2 people. He was sentenced to 7.5 years. But look at that last date. By 1981, he was already back out on the streets.
3 years and 2 months. That's it. That's all the time he served for trying to murder 2 people. It was basically a slap on the wrist. And just like that, the system's first and maybe best chance to stop him was gone.
So, did he get out of prison a changed man? Not a chance. He didn't just go back to his old ways, he actually got better at it. He refined his methods of abuse, but this time he built this bizarre public image to go along with it.
And you start to see this really disturbing pattern emerge. He went after vulnerable young women, often teenagers, and just pulled them into this world where he had absolute total control. It got so twisted that he was living with both his wife, Mariad, and his mistress, Lisa, all under the same roof, taking all their wages and benefits.
And here's where it gets even more manipulative. He started using his own kids as props. He went on these national talk shows like the Jeremy Kyle Show, crying about needing a bigger, government-funded house for his huge family, all while he wasn't even working. People called him Britain's biggest scrounger, but you know what? He didn't care. It was all an act to get sympathy, and more importantly, money.
But a world like that, built on lies and control, it can't last forever. And in early 2012, it all started to fall apart. His mistress, Lisa, she finally got the courage to leave, and she took her 5 kids with her. For Philpott, this was a disaster. He didn't just lose control, he lost a huge chunk of his income.
So furious and desperate, he comes up with this absolutely vile plan with his wife and a friend. The idea was just sick. They were going to start a small fire, blame it on his ex, Lisa, and then he would swoop in and rescue the kids sleeping upstairs. He actually thought he'd come out of it looking like a hero. But of course, a plan this reckless, it was bound to go wrong. Horribly wrong. In the middle of the night, they did it. They poured gasoline through their own mail slot and lit it. And the fire it erupted. It was way more powerful than they ever imagined. The whole upstairs became a death trap in seconds. And trapped inside were 6 of his own children: Dwayne, Jade, John, Jack, Jesse, and Jaden. They all died from the smoke. Their father's disgusting plot to use them as pawns in his game ended up killing them. You'd think that would be the end, but no. For days afterward, Philpott put on the performance of a lifetime. He was the grieving father. The community felt so bad for him they started raising money for the funerals. But behind the scenes, the investigators, they weren't buying it. Something felt very wrong.
His public act was one thing, but police were smart. They bugged his hotel room, his van, and on those secret recordings, oh boy, the whole story came tumbling out. He was caught telling his wife what to say, trying to get their stories straight, and even admitting his guilt. When a psychologist looked at him, the diagnosis was textbook: a psychopath. No empathy, a master manipulator, and totally incapable of learning from experience. And you just have to think back to that first crime, that first brush with the law. He learned absolutely nothing from it.
So in the end, the three of them were found guilty of manslaughter. Now, what that means is the jury decided they didn't actually mean to kill the children, but their plan was so reckless that it caused their deaths. Mick Philpott got a life sentence, but his wife, Mariad, and his friend, Paul Mosley, they got 17 years. And believe it or not, they're both already out of prison, having served just half their terms.
And that just brings us right back to the question we started with. Were the deaths of 6 children preventable? The justice system had a known, violent psychopath in their hands back in 1978. He was convicted of trying to kill 2 people, and he walked free after only 3 years. You have to ask yourself, if that first crime had been treated with the seriousness it deserved, could the lives of 6 little kids have been saved?